Hi everyone, today I'm gonna work on the project of data structure for company engineering project 1. Uh, for this project we are provide a partial C++ program, initially the main file, uh, not main file, the main functions that implements a modified version John Conway's game of life, who is kind of circular simulation of biological cell system specifically. So there's two types of cells. Have two types of living cells, type 1 and type 2, and we got to figure out if seen in a cell system, like if the cell gonna die, or it's gonna survive, or it's gonna born. So there are some initial conditions for survival rules. So like a living cell survives if it has some specific number of neighbors of the same type. Death rule: a living cell will die if it has too few neighbors of the same type, uh, or too many neighbor overcrowding. Birth rule: so birth rule is kind of different, like it has to be like greater than or a specific number uh, of neighbors, and has to be each type. So if it's type 1 gonna reborn, it has to be equal uh, this number or greater than the type 2 neighbors. For if same goes to for type 2, and otherwise there's no cell gonna born. So there's the same support function we're gonna need to make that happen. So there's input file, the load constraint, and load grid, and compute next grid. So we're gonna go individual files and try to explain like what this file gonna do. Sorry, is function gonna do. I keep saying files. uh, so let's start main cp. So initially we're given the headers and the grid, our max, max, the color, the maximum column, maximum rows. Load constraint is basically like we're gonna try to get the sorry, let me pull up the input files. So we're gonna try to get the iterations, the birth condition, the survive conditions. uh, that's what it's gonna initially gonna do, the load constraint. So while the get line is gonna do is try to find the empty space, and we're just gonna ignore it. And the get line header is gonna, first line is gonna ignore it, because it's the comment file, sorry, comment line. Then we're gonna get from the num, we're gonna get the iterations, the b string we're gonna get the birth condition, and the s string we're gonna get the survival condition. Then open input file, we're gonna just get the input file. So there's a if statement if in case we don't find the file. Then we're gonna have the load grid. Here we're gonna get the grid uh, from the input text file. So here we're gonna find if it's a digit or not. If it's a digit, we're gonna go through the value. So we're gonna go to the row. uh, this gonna get a stream, so we're gonna find each integer values. So like we're gonna line stream, we're gonna store it, uh, each of them. So if column cmax is just in case we don't find the columns or it's exceeded the limit of the cmax, then we're gonna store the value individually. And when we're done for each columns, for example, if we're done with all the 10 columns, we're gonna go to the next row. uh, then the copy grid, we're gonna copy like after the calculations of like a initial grid, then we're gonna copy it and print it for the next one. For next grid, then we have to copy it again to do the calculation. It's gonna go for each iterations of parse constraints. So over here, like we have to like kind of uh, create the configuration. So if we can see the output file, sample output files, we can see example there. uh, so we can see like we have to create the configuration grids for each of them. So that's what you're gonna do here, the percent constraint. So you're gonna get like where the it survives, where the birth. So is condition, we're gonna every other rows, so every other numbers is gonna be 0. But if it's the birth is for an example, so like uh, let's say the bath rules have to be at least 3, so it's gonna be 1, that's the indicators, so it's gonna be as individual indicators. Then we're gonna go to count the neighbors. So in individual grid we're gonna count the neighbors, like how many ones and how many twos probably gonna be there. Then based on that conditions, like we have to decide if it's gonna birth or if it's gonna die. Same with types, we're gonna find out how many types 2 neighbors are there for each elements in the grid. Then now we compute the next grid. So for here, as I mentioned, like we're gonna calculate like how many neighbors are there. We as always, we're gonna go through the each elements from the 2D grid, and we're gonna find the current state, like if it's like type 1, type 2, or is 0, which is in case probably be dead. So then we're gonna first check if it's a type 1, then if it's gonna do the conditions, like if it survives or dies. uh, then we're gonna do the type 2, if it's we're gonna check if it survives or dies. And then the third condition would be the if it's in case the cell is dead, and we're gonna check if it's gonna birth or it's gonna have a birth, or it's gonna still gonna be dead. In case like we have to check like if it's a type 1 born or type 2 born, and that's so it's gonna do it here. And for type 1 born, it has to be greater than type 2 neighbors. So if the birth is 1, like in that case, like we would say like, yeah, how many neighbors we need to do that. So that's what condition checks. So print grid already given is just print the grid for each of them uh, for the iteration. Oh yeah, it just print the grid for each time we iterate. Then we can have 2 arguments. One gonna be the file, one of the initial arguments to run the file, so the other one gonna be the file name. That's we get 2. We're gonna take 2 arguments. Then we can have open file. We can open the file. We're gonna just check if it's opening or not. What's the issues, and the loading grid, like as I said, like it's gonna load the number of iterations, and then it's gonna take the files, which files we're opening, visiting the bath rule, listening the survival rules. On the cout, then we're gonna check the numbers, like how many iterations we need. Then we're gonna kind of like uh, specify the birth requirements and the survival requirements, and we're gonna try to convert to the string. Then we have the find the birth requirements from the configuration. So as you see output, that's going to print like a file like that. So for the birth here, for the survival here. Then we have simulation birth configuration. Yeah, this is going to print it out for each of them. Then we have a load grid, so it's going to load the grid from the input file, populate the grid for the calculations. Then we have bars to like separate it, and like initially we have the input grid as is grid 0. Then there is the loop, like how many iteration it's gonna go through. So each iteration we have to do the calculations, then copy the grid, like kind of hold it and do the calculation again until the grid ends. So we're gonna separate it, then we're gonna print the iterations. Then we're gonna print the grid, how many grids are there, and we're gonna divide it by the bar, and that's pretty much it. Then we're gonna do what are you gonna do, like try to run the file. So basically like we can cd project 1, let's see a pretty pipeline. Then we're gonna run it by saying I'm using clang compiler. So main.cpp.io, sorry, -0. Let's name it as a main. Okay. Then we're just gonna do we're probably gonna do the first files. Main, so p01 input, p01 input .1.txt. There you go. So like pretty much is actually mixed with that. So we're gonna go to the end, like it's easier to understand. So as you see, like yeah, it's the same result. And that's pretty much it. Everything have been my GitHub. If you look on the further code and everything is matched out, and thank you so much.